Oof, what can I say? We are in the last week of January, and already I've been feeling and I've been guided to share what this last week stream of energies will take us to, what we need to start working with on February. Yet the vision in general is to try to stop dividing time in the way we're doing it. Of course, it helps because as we've been in this age of information, analyzing, stratification, trying to understand, gather knowledge, we tend to do that. It's easier to divide time in slots or in blocks, so that we can pinpoint where the energy is, like reading music, and you are kind of dividing in quarters and you're checking in what's the next set of notes and then what's coming. But we have to really start looking at the entire picture, at the entire musical piece here. So I invite you to start focusing more in the whole, in the bigger aspect of time and things that are transpiring, rather than way of viewing things so narrowly that then we get so obsessed about this needs to happen in this block of time and this needs to happen here and why it didn't happen, what's coming next, like right in the next hour, minute, or in the next week and month. And the problem with that is that we get so obsessed with that period of time that then everything revolves around that block, and then we charge it up so much that we invest so much emotionally, and hence if that in that block of time that energy is not resolved, or whatever we are expecting didn't happen, then there is that feeling of hopelessness, of fall, of what happened, what went wrong. Nothing is going wrong. Everything is absolutely as it should be. So I'm inviting you, because the vision that came very clear for me in guidance to talk today is we need to start seeing the entire piece, the complete surface, and the time as a one unified energy stream. In this respect, I'm going to talk about direction and flow. Everything in this universe has that direction and flow, action, reaction. And we understand this at a very basic level. It's that kind of that usual way of how we observe life manifests. Yet there are more aspects within that direction and flow, or action or reaction. After the reaction, there is an stabilization moment as well. We need to stabilize that direction and that flow. It needs to find a rhythm and a stability to keep manifesting, creating, and moving forward to whatever the vision is. And after the stabilization, it doesn't have to spring right back into action and reaction again. It actually needs planning. It needs to gather all the information and all the data of that growth, of that action and reaction and stabilization. There needs to be a planning phase before it starts again into the action. So this is like the four fundamentals that has an action, it has a direction, it has a reaction, it has a stabilization and planning. And within all these aspects of energy, there are middle points, resting points, and there is a flow to it and a direction to it in harmony. And that is the best way we can navigate. Now, we've been going through collective awakening, we'll say. I will call it. We've been on a collective reaction, and we've been feeling this reaction in the past months. And in January, we entered the phase of stabilization, and we're about to go into the phase of planning, phase that phase of gathering all the information of from that big moment of the blanket was shaken for everybody, and we went, whoa, what's going on? I just lost ground. All of this is happening to me. Suddenly I found myself into the unknown, thrown into the air, whether it was our doing purposefully or consciously, whether it was our doing unconsciously and unaware, whether someone else pushed that for us to create this momentum of change. We all have been shaken off the ground, and that is something that has been happening, but it really reached its boiling point 2019 and 2020. That was a whole, but of course, you know, some felt it as an earthquake, some felt it as a tsunami, some felt it as a, you know, little by little, you know, we all felt it, but it was certain that by 2020 we were all in a phase of reaction, of something that moved. You know, there was an action of new energy coming in. It's time to evolve, it's time for the shift. So then there's the reaction, and the reaction always brings a counteractive force, a resistance, so to speak, and so the more we resist, the stronger the push of the reaction, because the reaction is like a stream of water that is pushing you, or, you know, taking you into direction. It's already sprung in action. So you could try to go against it, you could try to hold on. Eventually, even if you hold on, the push, the force, you're going to gather that force and you have to let go. And if you do, then it's going to go faster, that you're going to be pushed strongly. So it's either you decide to flow in it, or you decide to hold on. Eventually you'll be pushed strongly. Or if you go backwards or against it, you'll get exhausted, because the direction, the flow is already happening. The direction and the flow are already happening. So 2021 started with stabilization. But of course, we all have our ways of also moving through these changes. So it's important to be very in tune with how these energies move, because right now is a time of stabilizing the energies, of the reactive energies that we just witnessed and moved through. And the next phase is planning. What does planning means? It means gathering. It means that harvesting. It means gathering all the information, all that I've learned, everything that has taken me to this moment in time. I need to gather that information and then plan. What am I going to do with it? What have I learned? What is it that I'm going to want to spring into action next, with direction and flow, in awareness? What's next? And so the energies of February are already very in tune with this moment of the Aquarian age. And we have Mercury direct, which means we are able to think in new ways, to pull in information from the collective, from the Akash records, from the ethers, from our higher guidance, from our stellar origins, from our spiritual team, from whichever way you connect to the wisdom within and without, which is the same. February will prompt us to start gathering all these and start thinking out of the box and planning. Okay, this is completely unknown territory for me, and I need to then start tuning in to what is it that I want to do next. How am I going to deal with these energies now? And even if I don't have a definite plan, because we're still in the unknown, and this is this year in general, that's the note, that's a constant note, is into the unknown. Really, that's it. Now, how in this unknown, in this what's going on, I don't know what's happening next, but within that not knowing what's going on, you can start projecting a vision, a planning of a course of action, which you kind of, it has to be directed and yet surrendering. It's a dance between what I want to do and also knowing that I have to trust that whatever I want to do is for the highest purpose, mine and all. So the planning means start gathering everything that you need all your instruments, all your skills, all the ingredients for when the energies start going, okay, stream into action now. Let's go into action. Next step, next ladder up. What have you got ready as a tool, as a skill, as a learning, as an energy, as a where your point of where you're gonna start, right? And so you're ready. In reality, we don't really need to go into the mind and thinking, oh, I'm in the stabilization, planning, action, reaction. It's about the flow, because the flow, it's already taking you there. So I'm speaking about this because sometimes by bringing this forth and for you to listen to it, and if it's making sense to you in the way, in where you're standing now, or how you are living your life at the moment, or where life is taking you, if it makes sense to you, then you can integrate it into your being, and that creates a sense of trust. And that's part of the planning process. You gather your strength. You know you're going to have to run a marathon soon, and you have a month and a half, or maybe 3 weeks, or maybe you're already quite fit and you're ready to start. Okay, maybe you get that stream and you're like ready. Maybe you're like, hold on, I just woken up, I have no idea, I need to gather my strength, right? So this is the opportunity this week to really think about everything that has transpired in the past 2 months for you. How have you been dealing with that? Because the energies that are transpiring at the moment is stabilizing. So we're still in that phase. Stabilize and feel. It's a moment of feeling as well. And feeling is very uncomfortable for many, because we've created a society that does not allow the feeling, or does not understand the feeling, or feeling feels very overwhelming. And so the stabilization process is about also that feeling. How do I feel after I've been thrown up into the air? How do I feel about others expressing how they feel about being thrown up in the air? How are we all feeling? And that's why the emotions really swept through this month. Everybody was feeling really emotional, because also that emotion is part of that stabilization. You need to feel your emotions to be ready for the next stage, which will be planning, gathering information, resources for the action, which moves through March, and that's generally how it is happening right now. And so those are the kind of the cycles, or the nodes, or the way that direction is flowing in this year, right? Stabilization, planning, action, reaction. Stabilization, planning, action, reaction. And that's the wave. So in the bigger picture, 2021 is into the unknown. We're up in the air. We still have to navigate whatever it is that we're navigating, but bringing in all these resources, all this wisdom, having a vision, allowing the action to happen, knowing that that action is going to have a reaction, which is still growth. And then I need to stabilize. We need to find that stabilization phase again, right? So in the big picture, nothing is set. Everything is going and having a direction and a flow. So let's just move through it the best way we can. And if you need any further guidance, or if you have some questions, you can always message me or email me, and I'll do my best to support whatever you're going through. But the best way of finding guidance is connecting to you, to your wisdom, to your divinity, to your heart, to your inner knowing, and trusting yourself. We've been really, this year as well, the big theme alongside into the unknown is trust, because trust is how we go through the unknown. If we don't trust, we will really suffer the unknown. We will be constantly in anxiousness, and we will constantly battling the unknown, and we will not have a good time. And because it's inevitable, it is inevitable that the unknown is happening. My best advice would be, you may as well trust it, and trust whatever is coming, whatever is already transpiring. And that means trusting yourself, trusting your discernment, trusting how you are processing this and how you're moving through these changes, trusting how you're feeling without apologies and without guilt, just allowing the feeling and whatever is coming next for you. Be very connected to yourself, and that's part of that Aquarian age. That's part of February for us as well. It's honoring your own authority. You remember, Aquarius is all about that individuality and finding new ways of honoring your own authority. So it's not looking outwards, it's always looking inwards, and yet understanding that everybody's going through the same. So Aquarian age has also that sense of drive and that sense of humanity, and we are all in this together. All of us, we're in the unknown, so we may as well help each other through the unknown into trust our own higher consciousness, our own wisdom, and trusting others as well. Start letting go of all those shields and spears we have against each other, and really joining in and uniting. It doesn't matter. There's many ways to getting to the same source. It's many ways to reaching the same conclusions. We all have our very unique ways of expressing who we are. And so there's no right or wrong, or my way is better than yours. That's gone. It's whichever way you're expressing the way you are, or your own divine will, we are all doing it too. So we may as well just try to weave it together and see if we can truly create something completely new from that perspective. All right. Thank you. Thanks for listening.